What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Crypto Logic podcast, man. We have an amazing show for you guys today. As you guys can see, we got maybe one you don't know, but his name is Keith. He's an amazing person. He's an amazing dude. You guys are gonna get to know him. He's a mod in our Discord, so hopefully you guys know him. You might know him as Civil Stranger, but we know him as Keith.
The community knows him for sure.
Exactly.
For sure.
And right next to him, as you guys know, that is a Dante Defi. Now they decided they did not want to be on camera today because, hey, you know, everybody has a bad hair day. I'm just kidding. But
2 days in a row, man.
But honestly, guys, it's gonna be an action-packed episode. You guys really should watch this from the beginning to the end, man. There's gonna be gems throughout this whole thing that is gonna blow your mind.
We had a 3-hour conversation before the show started, and that stuff, oh man, valuable information. That I wish. Hey, we're gonna have it for you guys now. We're gonna have it for you guys
exactly.
now.
So if you're tapped in, you're tuned in, man. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell icon so you stay notified whenever we post anything, if we go live or anything like that. And then subscribe to Dante. As always, Keith, I wish you had a channel. I'd have shot you out, but he doesn't.
No problems. I got a Discord. It's called Your Discord. I'm good with
that. So hopefully you guys find some value today, guys. And let's just dive into the actual market first. Let's go into the market, then we're going to get into some conversations, all right? So as you guys can see, man, we are currently sitting at 2.66 trillion. Let me go ahead and refresh just to double check and make sure we're still sitting there. Dipped a little bit, 2.64 trillion, up about a percentage on the day. Now, Bitcoin, as it's been since past week and last week, has just been chilling underneath, 60K. I feel like it's found support somewhere, maybe even at 57,000. You know, it hasn't really moved from 57,000 in a while, so I feel like it has found support at 57K. So it's good. It's consolidating, kind of riding that wave, and should bounce back up.
What's the dominance at?
The dominance currently for Bitcoin is sitting at 41%, and then Ethereum is at 20%. So when we talked to what was his name? I'm sorry, I'm having a brain fart. Junior's Crypto. He said that this is the lowest Bitcoin dominance he's seen in a while. So he said if there's a bull run happening, it won't go as if like in the past how it usually goes, like Bitcoin first, and then Ethereum, and then altcoins. Now it's
parallel.
Go parallel.
What do you guys think about that? Like this bull run, all these cryptos theoretically will be moving parallel with Bitcoin as Bitcoin tries to break past, what is it, 70,000? Because it hit 69.
Yeah.
And then the Evergrande thing came out and then it tanked, but past 70,000, and then ETH passing that 5,000 mark, and then let's see, QUANT, the XRPs, the lawsuit ending. Like a lot of things could happen that could set off a ripple effect that just, and then everything will just take off.
Yeah, exactly.
At the same time.
I watched that episode, and I do agree. When you look at the breakdown, usually, Bitcoin runs, and then you see all that extra liquidity kind of trickle down through the alts from the top to the bottom.
Yeah.
But in this phase, it's a little different. And the reason why is because the last run, there wasn't really as much publicity. There weren't as many alts that were kind of getting pumped on YouTube. You had like your not your blue chips at the time, but you had your ETHs and things like that, Cardanos. But the reality is, like, between the APY plays, and I would say NFT market's probably in a bear market right now, but there's so many side things going on in so many different ecosystems that a lot of people who don't have a ton of capital are not going the Bitcoin route. So they're not actually waiting and going into Bitcoin and then flipping it, getting that quick little 2 times right now and then putting that into altcoins. They're going right into altcoins and trying to get that 20 and 30% pump.
Exactly.
So I think it's just a bunch of retail that are aware that the market's manipulated. It is what it is, and they're just trying to make as much money as they can based on the investments that are recommended to them.
Yeah, it's kind of like front running what is going to happen, right?
Exactly.
And also the prices of Bitcoin and Ethereum are there for people who are trying to really preserve wealth. In my opinion, it's like you're not going into Bitcoin now unless you're putting, you're big with hundreds of thousands of dollars type thing where it's a guaranteed appreciation on what you started with. Ethereum too. Like if you're a hedge fund or you're someone with a lot of money you're trying to deploy right now, those make sense. But to everybody else, to the average person, obviously you're not gonna get the returns you expect, especially with what's gone on in the crypto markets. Everybody has made incredible money. You're not going to get that from Bitcoin and Ethereum. Obviously, we always talk about it.
Yeah, man. I me personally, I feel like if it does actually happen how Junior's Crypto said so, where everything kind of runs parallel together, I think the people that will 10x, 20x, 1000x potentially on their altcoins will eventually funnel their money into
backwards
Bitcoin.
now?
I think it's backwards. I think it's going to be backwards.
I honestly agree with you in part, but I also think realistically a lot of people are going to run from the market when they make their gains. So like I think smart money that's in the space is going to flip it into Bitcoin and good stores of value. I would argue Quant's one of those, even though it's low right now. Yeah, but I also realize the reason why this is so strange is because you know how people are like, oh, this might be a bear market. If you look at it, Coinbase is about to roll out their NFT news and essentially get everybody on NFT page that uses their platform. Robinhood's going to drop a wallet in quarter 1.
Yeah.
Robinhood is going to be the catalyst, I think.
Yeah.
That's why. It was last year.
For the average Joe to just
this year, actually, not last year.
Get into crypto.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if this is not count a black swan event. Obviously, I know there's a lot of indications about COVID. The market in large impacts the crypto market. We're not devoid. Like we get impacted by the larger market all the time, but I don't believe the current impact is COVID. I think COVID will limit our ceiling. I know we mentioned that in the Discord. I know Legion touched on that. I think it will lower our ceiling because the reality is if there are some lockdowns and people are scared, they're not going to put their money into crypto.
Exactly.
But I think this market is just not flying as high because it's going to fly longer than we expect it is. You know what I mean? Like
exactly.
it's not 100 right now.
Yeah,
100%.
Can't have both.
No, can't. Yeah. If you did have both, frankly, we would be at like a 5 trillion market cap already, and people would be afraid. Yeah. You know, the same people who are like, oh, you're going to get this euphoria. Now that that's out there, as soon as people feel like it's too good to be true, then you're going to have these pullbacks. People are going to be like, oh, wait, maybe this is it. Maybe this is it. So there's a more educated consumer, I think. And I think that impacts the market, plus all the whales doing whatever the heck they want. So
yeah. I actually just sent a tweet because I read this yesterday. And again, we were talking about it offline, really just like whenever someone asks me like, you know, oh, when are you going to sell out, or when is the end of this bull run or whatever, like my mind has changed on that so many times, and it changes every single day, basically based on how I look at what's going on. Like I'll change my mind. Right. And so at one point I was thinking, it's going to end in December. It makes sense. I've heard about the cycle theory, blah, blah, blah. But now I'm not so convinced that it's going to end in, December, meaning we're into December pretty much. Yeah. I don't think it's going to end in December. We're not going to have a blow off top in December, but that doesn't mean like we're going to have some super cycle for the next year. But there are a lot of people who are saying like, buy these assets right now to hold through 2022. I don't necessarily think we're going all the way through 2022 without, some severe corrections.
Yeah.
But I just interested in your opinions now on where it stands. And this is Arcane Tiger. He has a lot of good content. His tweet is basically talking about all of the greater macro things going on that should be affecting our kind of decision to cash out now, cash out at the end of the year, or maybe into Q1. To me, I'm thinking like February is when it could be something, where we see a big correction or dip or whatever, but I don't know.
Can I quickly comment on that? Because I think that post you made is brilliant. I think you should. So everybody in our bubble talks about how crypto's changing the world and how crypto affects the world. And they don't really realize, like, right now we're a very small piece of the pie. You wouldn't even be able to measure it if you look at it. Exactly. You should really be looking at how the world affects crypto. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I say that is because if you look at the geopolitical issues, how China's crackdown, or more importantly, how your favorite crypto being housed in China could affect it, or how a community like I think it was the energy source issues. If you have a blockchain company that can address those issues, I think those are going to play a huge role. And I think the equity market, as I touched on before, is not going to let us run and play forever. So I think realistically, if you plan on taking profit, you should certainly be dollar cost averaging out in the new year. And everyone takes profit differently, but I've never met anyone who was sad that they dollar cost average out and they took X amount of money per cycle or per week or per day. Because listen, if you miss the top, which 99% of people do, you can live with that. Exactly. But if you miss the top and you miss the middle and you crash out right before the bottom, you're not coming back to crypto. Like you're not going to make it back to crypto.
You're not. You're not. That is 100%
Just
true.
losing everything.
Well, if that happened to me, I would be coming back to crypto. I'd just be really, really pissed. Really pissed.
Your podcast would be real dark, Dante. No one would want you to be real dark.
Nah, I could never let that happen.
Candles, have some candles.
I could never let that happen. You guys, like, the point is, you guys can't let that happen to me.
No,
we won't.
It's not. It can't.
Of course
it can't.
not,
It can't
Dante.
go like that. Can't.
Yeah, we got you, man. We got you 100%. But honestly, guys, I feel like this time in crypto is a little like we can't. I feel like we can't look at the past to kind of see the future in crypto anymore. Before it was not so many eyes. I know John talks about it a lot. You know, we got the the NFTs. We got all of these politicians, these corporations, these countries buying dips now.
They're buying the dip. Like, how can a bear market?
There
will be a bear market. There will be some type of drastic change from how high we are to how low we are. But something that decimates 90% of crypto, I don't see that happening, because you see now there's people that see that as opportunity, not just us normal retail investors. There's going to be big corporations, big entities that see it as opportunity, rather than like, oh, see, it's all scam. See, back how they used to probably view it back in 2017, 2018. When
maybe
everything
2009.
Now you got Michael Saylor. Oh, keep going to buy more.
He bought what? $414 million.
I have a dark perspective on that.
Yeah, let's hear it. I want to hear
it. Widespread adoption is going to be really crucial for us to hit where we want to hit market cap in 2025, 2030. But I think in the short term, the reality is all of these stories, like the country stuff doesn't move the needle, just like the Michael Saylor thing doesn't move the needle anymore, right?
Yeah.
And the reason why that is because you need retail for purposes of getting some type of market momentum. Retail's not moving the market, but they do improve the sentiment and in the stories, right? So people forget this, right? The news does not do articles for companies. They might do them because companies make them do them. But the news is not doing an article to get another country to adopt Bitcoin. They're either doing a story to get people to buy Bitcoin, to get people excited, to get people to push for it, or to FUD it. So my fear is when the general Joe Smo hears these stories, they think they missed the boat and they don't get into crypto because they're like, oh, countries are buying cryptos. Oh, this company's in crypto. Oh, look, Twitter has crypto. Like it's people don't realize. I don't think the public has a great respect for corporations and a good sentiment for corporations. And I certainly don't think it has a great amount of respect for government a lot of times. So it's like, people don't have government jerseys and corporation jerseys. They do, but they don't know it. Like you're rocking Gucci and stuff like that. So I feel like it might actually trigger a bear market because you might force out people who care, and then the stories are going to stop, and then you're going to have a part of time. And don't get me wrong, I think that means it doesn't go as low as it does because obviously we have too much institutional investment. But I certainly think there's a point where you're going to go talk to someone who would have been into crypto, and they're going to say, "Oh, Twitter's into crypto. I'm good."
Too late.
Exactly.
Dude,
So it's like
exactly
22 then.
People are like, "Oh, Twitter's in now. It's mainstream now."
Exactly. They're like, "Oh, I want to do the next thing." Yo, you hear about that? Yeah, they at the best they'll chase what they'll be like, "Oh, dag," or something that's like 5 years away, which is still a good property.
Left field. That's not even near where it's full potential yet.
But if a Robinhood investor has your favorite altcoin in their wallet, it depends. Like if it's not geared to retail, it might not move the needle. But I just think we certainly could be in a bear market based on some of the optics of corporation.
I think like you said, catch-22. It could happen both ways.
Yeah,
it probably will.
Definitely,
it probably will.
Now on the show, guys, we talked about a lot of the Bitcoin and Ethereum being the number one top
and we said
dogs.
this before in the show before too. Which one's next?
Exactly. Now this article came out today, and I want to showcase it to you guys about Grayscale basically debuting their new trust for Solana. So apparently, Grayscale seeing a lot of stuff that we're not really seeing. And this leading cryptocurrency money manager of Grayscale Investments announced Tuesday that they had introduced a cryptocurrency trust for Solana, the fifth largest cryptocurrency by market capitalization. The newly launched investment vehicle makes it possible for accredited investors. Now, this is not regular people. This is accredited investors. And if I'm wrong here, Keith, accredited investor is you got to have a minimum of 120,000, correct?
Yeah, I forget the exact total, but you have to have a certain amount of capital to get in to be an accredited investor. And this, I mean, it kind of, if you Solana, in terms of like the private buyers, when they even made their first offerings, kind of fits the mold, right? Like they
Yeah.
disclosed like 45% of their tokens went to like really wealthy people who could
Yeah.
afford a certain amount of tokens. So I mean, it kind of goes with the motive, you know.
Yeah, so this is going to be an investment vehicle for not just regular people, for accredited investors to gain exposure to the top quote unquote Ethereum killer, which I don't think it will be, but hey, it is what
Without
it is.
having to hold
That's
it.
the name.
That's the crazy
Oh,
thing.
you know what? I wanted to add one more thing. They also have to have, and I didn't say this, I don't know why. They also have to have what you call like a special status. So
Mhm.
like there's like a regulatory status for accredited investors. And I mean, I'm just going to cut to the chase. To be an accredited investor, you got to have money, right? To get that
Yeah,
special
I mean,
status.
let's be
So
honest,
it's the same thing you
it's
said.
money.
It's the same thing you said. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Money's the key.
it's yeah, it always is, ain't it? So without holding any of the underlying asset, thus mitigating the risk linked to custodying that actual crypto.
They're not even holding the actual Solana token.
Yeah, it's kind of
That's how these Bitcoin.
it's gonna be
futures are,
interesting,
too.
guys. What do you guys think about Grayscale debuting their trust for Solana? Do you guys think it's a good thing, bad thing? What are you thinking?
New industry baby, you think?
I mean, in my opinion, I don't know how to. I get that's like the question I want to throw back on all of you guys, because to me, it feels like all of this should indicate that there's some long-term sustainability in where the market's going, at least. But it also could just mean that, you know, again, this news is coming out and they're doing it now and they're going to do it for the next 2 to 3 years. They're going to continue doing this stuff in preparation for something in 2025. But like, you know, we may look at it as like, oh, now all of this is happening because we're going on some super cycle run now, you know? So I don't know how to look at it, because I remember even covering like Cardano, they were adding positions to their Cardano fund, et cetera, et cetera. And since then, Cardano has done nothing, right?
Yeah.
100%.
So you just never know. And it's like, it's just with those kinds of things, it's hard to even understand what is going through whoever made those decisions and why they're doing it and what they know versus what we know, right?
Right. What about you, Keith? What are you thinking about it, man?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you look at Dante's example of Cardano, it's a perfect example. Not because Cardano long term is going to fail. Obviously, I don't think that that's the case. But if you look at where Cardano is right now, you could tell when they announced that, like back in July for Cardano.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, Cardano was the hotness at that point. People were like, "Oh, Cardano's going to drop smart contracts," and I feel. Part of me feels like obviously they know stuff we don't know, but I think the reality is probably they're chasing the new hotness in the market and they have the capital to kind of keep these properties doing well, right? Like an asset like Solana in August with the NFT plays, Degenerative Apes going into September. I mean, it was hot to the touch. And then, you know, a month later, it was a new, and then when they had that issue with scaling, which shouldn't shock anybody if you're familiar with the tech behind Solana, although I think Solana will make you money, I think it has some problems. I just think they're trying to control what is going to be blue chip assets. And if they declare they have an asset, and therefore it's a blue chip asset, and you're like, oh, Grayscale has Solana. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's like Grayscale has Solana, so Solana is a blue chip asset. And it's like, that might be the case, but I think some of these companies have all the power in the world and they're just as clueless as you and I. And they want Solana to be, what's going to happen? They're like 2 months behind everything, right? So I wouldn't be surprised to hear Grayscale have a KDA fund, you know, in February, you know what I mean? Like, they're going to watch. When they drop the Avi and the KDA fund in February or March, we're gonna be like, Jesus, these guys are just.
That's what we were like discussing before, like these Grayscales, what was the
digital asset
group? Asset
currency group.
Like big boys, the big
Galactic
boys.
Star. They're
like picking and choosing. Okay, we want them to be the baby. We want them to be LeBron. And then picking them out as little children, and then giving them the tools that they need to get to the point where, like, all right, you guys, retail investors can't buy in anymore. This is ours.
Yeah, they're FOMOing in. They're FOMOing in, and then they get to choose the winner. So you FOMO in, and you're like, this is the winner.
Yep, and you just gotta hook on and latch on with them.
The thing that I noticed about this article when I read it, I felt like, okay, so if you know Grayscale, everybody knows Grayscale is a major player in that space, and they're pretty big. If you see that they're forming a new trust for Solana, it's not necessarily that Solana's price is going to go. It's
they're just taking it.
Yeah, they're not waiting. They're not allowing for it to do like a get rich quick. They're not telling you, oh yeah, get into it now because it's going to blow up.
They're not shilling it.
Yeah, it's more like 5, 6, 10 years down the line, Solana will be a major player. It will be quote unquote a blue chip. So when me looking at this, I'm like, okay, if they want to invest in it, I want to be in it, not for the price appreciation tomorrow, but for the the future.
Grayscale won't let Solana die.
Basically.
Yeah.
You can kind of safely, can't 100% be sure. They can just dump them.
Yeah.
We changed our mind, but basically Solana has the backing of billions of dollars.
Yeah. It's chosen, and you're right. They have their short-term plays. Like, I mean, God, they have an ETH Classic Trust. I mean, come on.
Yeah, exactly.
But and everyone, I'm like, well, everyone knows what that is. Yeah, everyone
really
knows
don't know much if they got that.
But they don't have to have the Midas touch. Yeah, you pick Solana.
Yeah, true.
Everyone knows Solana is going to be worth more than it is today in 2025. Every single person,
bucks, right? Everyone knows, right? Yeah,
easy.
Over $1,000 easy.
They got too many backers.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's just their baby. And then we were saying, what's next? They got Bitcoin, they got Ethereum, they got Litecoin. Some of them got Litecoin, some of them got Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum Classic, and then Chainlink. I think I've seen Chainlink in some. And it's like, what else are they gonna try and take up and say, we like this? Oh, this is we have basically in 5 years this will be ours. We'll be and then there's Avalanche. There's Luna, there's Cosmos. I don't know how deep they're gonna go. It's so early to tell.
To me, it feels like, in the example of Solana, to me it feels like Solana is, the team has a lot of money, and it's like they're trying to buy themselves into being the market favorite, even though they're not the market favorite. Because, in my opinion, like, you just use yourself right now. From what we only have as our kind of like the data on what is a successful layer one versus what is not. It's like the last layer one that I even got onto was Solana, because, and I don't know, just maybe that's just based on where development was and all these other things, but it's like when I think of Avax, that's something that like right now is really used and not talked about as much.
Yeah.
But like I told you guys the other day, like I think Avax is going to be, in my opinion, Avax could be above Solana at some point or another, but maybe that doesn't happen because, it's not considered on the same level for whatever reason. And I know the actual code that goes into it is completely different, but that makes it feel like Solana's isolated themselves.
Well, Solana, I feel like has isolated.
They have,
They have, but I mean, think about it. All the other layer ones are EVM compatible. They all talk to Ethereum.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Solana doesn't at this point. Until
maybe that's what they like. The elites like that. They're like, hey,
maybe.
Well, Solana's been being packaged with Solana from the beginning. Gets packaged with all, it has very, very powerful backers, and it has from the beginning. So it gets packaged with all these things. Listen, it's a good product, but I mean, I think if you compare Solana to Avax and what they give up for scalability and decentralization, Avax, in my opinion, is a superior product. But I think we all know, like, the better product does not always win.
Yeah.
What I mean? Like,
it's kind of like the courtroom, man. It's not about the truth. It's what you can prove.
100%. It's you. Just to full disclosure, I mean, it's how you present. If you got the right team, you're good. So
Yeah,
I like Solana and I like Avax, but I think when you can move the needle and you can pick, it's kind of unfair in my opinion, but I mean, that's how America works,
Yeah, those who have the money control the market.
It's kind of like one last thing. It's kind of like the music industry, like back in the day. Nowadays, anyone can become a star overnight, right? With TikTok and social media, you can become a star overnight. You don't need anybody. Back then, you kind of have to play the game and then have the industry pick you, and then they'll put you on top of above everybody, even if they're not even that good.
It's a great comparison.
They'll pick people. Back then, we had Britney Spears pop up, Christina Aguilera. They would pick them. And then boop, 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 boop. And then you guys will all be the face of pop, be the face of rap, hip hop.
So John, are you saying Solana can't sing?
Hey,
I don't know. They're,
might need some lessons. I don't know.
they can sing, but can't dance.
All right,
Avax
all
can
right,
dance
all right.
too. He's a good performer.
Well, Solana's
can dance too.
Solana's that type of person that's in the corner, doesn't want to talk to
Yeah, got a
anybody.
little
You know
good
what I'm
voice,
saying?
good voice, got a little bit of auto tune.
They think
But
they're
we
better
got
than
Avalanche
everybody.
like Chris Brown can put on a show.
Yeah.
They can put on a show.
But man, that's pretty funny. Now we did have a couple of other articles, man, but I'm enjoying the conversation so much. I don't even want to dive into them, man. It just
Yeah.
Yeah,
it just
Dante said yes.
I'm not a fan of articles.
Dante said
Yeah,
yes
me
so
either.
quick.
it just really
I'm not a
doesn't.
fan of articles. I like
know,
yeah.
So okay, so
said
in our,
yep.
in our community, man, we talk a lot about Happy, VXV, Quant, things of that nature, and so Keith, you have a pretty good understanding about Happy, man, and
Yeah.
I want
We
you to
definitely
kind of
believe so.
understand or kind of explain to the people so that they understand what
To
Happy.
take
is
it out of
talking about.
context, there's people that are telling us, please let us know what's going on with Happy. Why is the price so low? There's
Yeah, so-
I'm not making fun of anybody, but there's people out there begging us to touch on Happy. I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
we planned this like a week ago. We're gonna bring Keith on here because he's in the Discord explaining, Happy is okay, but yeah, take it away.
Yeah, happy. So Happy as a product. I mean, a lot of people. I'll put it in layman's terms. You just have a cross-chain smart contract, right? And you're just embedding it on these centralized and decentralized platforms. And what it really allows you to do is, on a fundamental level, it does more than this. But what it's doing right now, and I'll get into what it's trying to do, is it's really tracking wallet addresses. And it's tracking wallet addresses and it's assigning them risk indicators. So it's like, this wallet address is risky, that's accessing your wallet. This wallet address that's contacting the exchange, looking to send funds, high risk. And the reason why it does this designation is it's doing this designation so it can identify for whoever's using the Happy protocol that perhaps this wallet that you're about to do business with or take funds from has got these funds in an illicit manner, right? So really what it does is it identifies the wallets that thieves and hackers use. And the reason why that's important is if you see adoption, and it does more than this, but the reason why this is the biggest part of it at the beginning is if you can get these centralized and decentralized exchanges to rely on Happy for all it does, then essentially you would go from having like one exchange or one decentralized exchange using a single shield to stop an arrow to all of these shields coming together and stopping all of these arrows. Because full disclosure, doxing hackers and like finding hackers, I mean, it's still the mechanism to try to chase them down in the countries they are, right? You contact the FBI or police, but most people aren't going to be able to do that depending on how much you lost in assets.
Exactly.
But if you can make it so essentially there's a security surveillance camera on these corners, they're not going to rob the bank because the address that they go to is going to be a dead wallet. And if they send it to an exchange, the exchange is going to seize those funds because it came from a risky wallet. And the Happy protocol theoretically will rely on a database, Oracle usage, and Oracle is obviously generally, think of an Oracle really like if a blockchain is an island and Oracle is the ferry that takes information from the mainland to the island so that they know what's going on. They want to use the oracles to go from their database of all these bad illicit wallet addressers, and they have a very complex algorithm they use to assess risk. They want to use that so that way everybody knows when they're in a risky interaction or not. And we're talking about something that would essentially be able to done instantaneously. Your exchange would know, you would know. The real misunderstanding is they do have a capability to monitor active hacking, and they want to do that through the evolution of the software. But through my research, I actually found that they don't want to implement it right away. And I think you'll find that with a couple of other security companies because it's very evasive. And if you're trying to sell these products, a lot of these exchanges and decentralized exchanges have proprietary software already. Like I know we're in the crypto space, so we're trying to buy tokens, but there are companies that do these things without tokens. They just take fiat, like they get paid to provide security for Coinbase, right?
Right.
So you really want to not step on any toes when you're trying to get mass adoption. So just think of Happy as a way to stop hackers from having a place to hide and wallets to use. And if the public blockchains essentially have their wallet addresses out there, they can't use it and take funds, then you'll notice that the hacking percentages will drop exponentially. We're talking about a market that, you know, I think $28 billion as of 3 months ago was ripped from crypto from just hackers and thieves. That's an estimate.
Which is crazy.
The reality, yeah. So if you could get a protocol like this, and you're I know I felt bad, man. And you can combine this protocol with the security measures that are already on exchanges, because obviously there's a bunch of layers to this. If someone steals $1 million of crypto, guess what? The FBI is still coming after you if you're in this jurisdiction. But Happy will also shut down your wallets, and the person has a chance of getting their money back faster. It's just a good protocol, but I don't think people understand. Happy is a company that dropped this year, so it's not old in crypto. Yeah, it dropped in 2021, and there are some fundamental issues, right? Like we all joke about it in the Discord, but we're serious. The branding of Happy is bad. The actual emblem for Happy does not look good. It doesn't market that well. And on top of that, when you go to the Happy website, it has a plethora of information on it, but the actual website itself is kind of set up like sleuth and magnifying glass, and you're looking at like a article. It's actually a cool, I would argue, website if for retail. Like, it would be a good retail facing website. Yeah, but it's not a good corporate facing website. So they just need to get like some help for purposes of marketing. Yeah, because I mean, I'm telling you guys, the product is great. It's you have to make a security software like this at first that gets your foot in the door. They have a DAO system so that people aren't arbitrarily blocking wallet addresses they don't like, and they have an Oracle system where you get paid in that particular cryptocurrency asset to stay in Oracle with the network. So like, they have the pieces, but it's very much one of those things that once it gets adopted, it's too late to get in, because the tokenomics are such that, like, if it gets mass adoption, the price will shoot up, 5, 6, 10 grand and it's gone overnight. So it's like, to me, you have some Happy. You don't need to over buy Happy, but it's one of those plays where, like, if in the market, yeah, he's right. He's 100% right. If you have like 100 Happy, you're wilding. But you certainly, if you're like in the space and you're like, FUD is huge and like security is huge, there's only a few security plays. Put some money in some of the security plays, and they'll have a really good chance of making you money. Of course, it could fail, but it's ahead of its time. When regulation comes, everyone has to have security, and guess what? They're going to have double security, because the whole thing's going to be like, how secure your thing? Do you have insurance? I get security over here. So the reality is, we're early in the space for security, but it really does do a myriad of different things that I think are valuable. And the tokenomics are beautiful, but again, the tokenomics
don't really make sense.
I don't want to over talk. Yeah, the tokenomics
they don't make sense
are good for us, but they're bad corporate
business.
The first time we spoke to Dante, he said, just get at least one.
Just get at least one. Full disclosure, I own more than that, but I had a bunch of Happy, and I bought it at like $42, and I sold out of Happy at like $100. And the reason I didn't sell out of it, I'm sorry, I sold 80% of it. And the reason why I did that is just because I know how early we are in the space. Like, if Happy hits, I'm gonna be good, but I can't put all my eggs in a company's basket that dropped in 2021.
Yeah,
exactly.
It took us a while to learn to make plays like that. We would have, like, before this number, we would just keep holding it.
Yep.
We didn't. It took us a while to learn. Like, oh wow, this thing jumped. $42 to $120. Take some profits.
There's always going to be another chance to get into those things, and exactly to. Yeah, sorry. No, John, keep going.
No, that was pretty much.
That's what you have to learn, But you don't learn that by not being in the space. That's the thing. Yeah. You gotta just jump in and be in the space to have that understanding. You gotta, like Dante said it the other day on the show, you gotta scrape your knees. You gotta fall a little bit so you can learn how to get back up. And crypto will always allow for you to get back up, even if you get rugged, if you lose money. Like John, for instance, he got hacked. That's crazy.
Yeah,
I would have never thought that.
Something like that can derail some people. I'm done, man. It was a crazy time. I called Dante. I was like, "Yo, what the heck?" But you know what I mean. No one's protected here. It's you're on your own in a sense if you're using decentralized platforms.
Yeah, it's the Wild West, man.
Yeah, having
the Wild West
there can kind of like.
But those are everything. Those are the like risks that you're willing to when you're trading crypto or whatever. It's like you have to, at least in my opinion, you have to accept that you could lose it all, and you're okay with that, because you're like, the upside and the potential opportunity here is big enough where I'm okay with that. Right. And that's, if you go into it like that, it's like, oh yeah, like this was going to happen eventually, or, you know, I have to accept that this happened. Again, you're just trying to battle your own psychology constantly. I feel like, and that's what you learn a lot. You definitely learn a lot in crypto by having the mentality of, I'm going to fight whatever immediate thought I have or impulse or blah, 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 or, you know, and that teaches you a lot.
But you guys correct me if I'm wrong here. But when you're first getting off in crypto, say you don't have a lot of money, you know what I'm saying? Say you have like 5,000 and under, right? And you want to basically double it, if not triple it. I feel like once you get to the 100,000 mark, once you pass that, I feel like your risk tolerance kind of changes. You know, it's like you've grown to 100K. Now you don't want to risk it so much. So now your portfolio will change. It won't stay the same. You're not going to be chasing, you know, Ghost token or Duck token or any of these weird tokens. You're more likely going to be putting your money into Bitcoin, putting your money into Ether, borrowing against it, and then playing with it at that point. You know, so, you know, taxable events and all that jazz. But am I wrong to think that?
I put in the big layer. I would still take new protocols that come out. I would still take a look at it.
Well,
It
yeah,
just depends on your niche, though. It depends on if
Oh,
you're a DeFi guy,
100%,
if you're
100%.
an Oracle guy, if you're security protocols. Now you got real estate with Propi. Propi's not gonna be the only real estate type cryptocurrency that comes out. There's gonna be multiple that come out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I guess
Finance,
it is a factor as
banking.
well, though.
Well, no, Mike, to your point though,
you just
I
find what you
think
like.
you're right. I want to cut you off, John.
No,
sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, so to your point, you're always protecting your capital, but as your capital grows, your position on protecting your capital grows, right? So like when you go in and you have $100 to $1,000, you're risking that to make a lot of capital. Once you get to a point where you have a lot of capital, you're just naturally your safe plays increase. And the reason why that is because volatility is the enemy of your capital. So in a market like this, we play with volatility to make gains, but it does you no good to make those gains and keep playing with the same level of volatility, right?
Exactly.
So you really take your money and put it on the sideline. So like some of that will be in the space. So if you have 100K, you might necessarily feel like, all right, 15K is going into Bitcoin because that's my Bitcoin. It's safe in there. Or you might say 20K is going into real estate. But the reality is it's just natural. Like if you play with $1,000 the same way you play with $100 and you play with $1,000 same way you play with $1,000, I think you better have a lot of money that you don't have in the market. Because the reality is like we're here because you can gain 200% in a day, and we're here because you can lose 200% in a day. So it's like you can't just get the good things of crypto and then not protect yourself from the bad things of crypto. You literally and so I agree with you, but to John's play, the reality is you're not the space by the time you get to 100K if you did it the right way. So you playing with 50
you know what you like as well, right?
You might have gotten lucky though. You might have gotten lucky. Let's be honest here.
Well, if you got lucky and you stay in the market, you're gonna end up broke. You're gonna end up broke.
Sheep investors, think of a sheep investor making $1 million and telling you, "Oh, you don't know what you're talking about."
Well, that person knows how to play. They're luckier than you. They played the lottery and they won, man. Like, you can't beat that.
Those are the ones that will get wrecked because they don't humble themselves. Like, okay, I put in $1,000 in the sheep and it made me, $78,000 in a couple months. Okay. But then they're the ones that think that they know now, they know crypto, like, oh, I know crypto. I don't even understand economics. There's people out there that would argue, like, Bitcoin hit 60,000, sheep's gonna hit $1, sheep could hit $2. And that's literally no market cap, tokenomic education at all. Like, at all.
If you drink your own Kool-Aid, you're gonna get poisoned, man.
Yeah,
and like here's why I like you guys and Dante is because you have to have, I don't agree with you guys all the time, but you guys make me think or make me realize I'm looking at things the wrong way sometimes. And if you surround yourself with an echo chamber, if everyone's just like quant amazing, I'm a quant maxi, right? So like, I need people to be like, listen, man, this is why this asset's, I need the negative on stuff.
Yeah.
That way I can relook at it. So I just think people surround themselves with people who believe the exact same thing they do. And that's not an investment strategy. It's
you don't grow from that, right? You don't learn from other people at all.
In
APYs were the boogeyman, and then you guys put me on, time and a limit. You guys beat me over the head with it. I was like, yo, you know what, guys? honestly, I'm making enough money in crypto. Like, this is, you guys are risky. And then
Risky.
you know,
Well,
I was
in
like,
hindsight,
nah.
2020 though, Keith, I'm gonna be honest with you. I think it's a risk tolerance because of our age.
True,
you know what
true,
I'm saying?
true.
So
True.
if you're 21 coming into space, you could lose 10 racks or $100,000
That's true.
and
That's
be
true.
like, okay, I still got time to figure it out. But if you're
Yeah.
45,
if
50,
you don't have kids,
Yeah.
you
You're
know,
not
a
doing that.
mortgage
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah, I'm
you know.
in my
like,
30s with a 1 and a 2 year old.
From where I stand, I have no responsibility other than to put, other than myself.
Feed
The
yourself.
only
yeah.
responsibility of other people is what I'm trying to,
Mhm.
be able to do for other people, right? But that is all on me at the end of the day. So it's like, to me, it's like, I love the idea of these things. So when I buy into the idea, I'm okay with losing money based on me liking the idea. I'm totally fine with it.
You
Not
just
everybody's like
spearhead
that though, because it's all.
You also
that's
dipped
why
your
it's so
big
different.
toe into it. You guys also did the smart thing. Even with the APY plays, you weren't like, "Oh, I'm gonna throw 10K
Yeah,
into this
I
APY
put
play."
$89
You're like,
in.
"Am I gonna get this back?" Yeah, I know. That's how you gotta. You take risks, but you
gotta test the
also
waters.
don't take the risk with all your
Then
money.
I
That's
put-
all I'm saying.
Exactly. But life in general tells you not to put all your eggs in one basket. Some people
100%.
listen and they get burned, but it is what it is.
Yeah, that's like the interesting thing. Like, I remember the risk factor. I put in a little bit, and then as I saw it work, all right, I moved the capital in, more capital in, and then that's the thing that I was gonna piggyback off earlier was in this space now. It's way more developed than when it was 5 years ago, 3 years ago, let alone 2 years ago, maybe a year ago. It's way more developed. We have areas that people are only focused on. There's people that only focus on NFTs. They don't even buy cryptos. They just buy the crypto to buy NFTs. There's NFTs. There's DeFi now. There's these DAOs that are coming out. There's well, obviously the finance coins, people that like tokens that basically for means of exchange, just sending back and forth, like the TEL coins, the XLM, XRP, banking coins.
Yeah.
And then now layer 1s, layer 2s, real estate, like I said with Propy, now security. There's areas for everyone who wants that's gonna go into crypto that can find a home based on what they like in the real world.
Absolutely.
Right? There's a home for anybody, and those are the plays that you would make once you make your money. Like, hey, I'm gonna stay in this realm over here. I've been doing DAOs since I got into crypto. I'm gonna stay over here. Or I've been doing staking, yield farming. I'm gonna stake my stable coins. I'm cool with that over here.
You don't even feel like
selling anymore.
Crypto's not even. I've been crypto since 2019. You could be in crypto with someone, and to you, they're not even in the same space. Like, you got people over here buying $650,000 NFT yachts.
Yeah.
And you're like, you're like, what?
They don't even care about QUANT. They don't care about
Yes.
Solana. They don't care about Avalanche. Like, no, I'm buying this stuff over here. I'm not even looking at those tokens. They don't even care.
But
Go
that's
ahead,
crazy. That's cool. That's why I think it's so crazy, because like we're watching the evolution of a market into a whole bunch of different ecosystems in the market. Like, before, it was literally just crypto, and you had your blue chips and your plays, and you had your initial coin offerings. Now
I think it was far more boring.
Yeah, 100. Well, it was far more boring, and the bear market really hurt because there was no other plays.
There was
to
nothing
go
to do.
Nothing. It's a wasteland. Yeah, there was no gaming. There was no, like, people talk about gaming. I'm like, listen, the metaverse is too early. The reality is gaming. People play games all day. Exactly. It is a good hedge. It really is a good hedge.
Yeah.
Yeah. And sports too. The sporting world getting into NFTs and getting into crypto.
I know you put me on the flow, man. John, I thought John was on the payroll for Flow, man. He was dropping Flow in here. He's like, yo, mark my words, Flow. I was like, is Flow a sponsor? This was but they're a good play, man. It's a good observation. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like, man, there was I was in a Discord, not ours, but in a different Discord, and one of the guys told me, because the guy was having a conversation. The guy was like, "Oh, I'm new to the space, man. I really I see all these people making all this money." And the dev of the Discord, he just told him, he was like, "Look, man, the turtle wins the race." So what I'm saying all to say is, like, I feel like people that get into crypto now, they see all these people that make all this money, and they just think that, okay, if they did it, I'm smarter than them, so I can do it. And then they end up getting wrecked in the space. It's like, if you slowly, methodical dollar cost average in, don't listen to the noise of, oh, you're going to miss out here, oh, you're going to miss out here, because then your plan kind of goes and it just dies.
Well, you're just acting on impulse.
Yeah,
you're just impulsively making plays. Like, oh, this one's down. I can move it over. This one's green. They buy the green.
Yeah, and then you lose.
I want to get Dante's. Actually, I want to get your perspective on that, Dante, because I think it's true. I feel like people come into space and they're new to the space, and the people who come in and they do risk mitigation early on. And then the last big bet they make, they throw it all out the window because they've been winning in a bull run, which everybody wins. And then they lose, and then they're done with crypto. How do you feel about like risk mitigation in terms of like being in the space? And I think making smart plays. I mean, obviously, I watch you on YouTube all the time.
I mean, so I guess, I keep saying it too, and you mentioned it when we were off air. Like, I change my mind about things every day, basically, or not every day, but like, there can be something that I believed in or I was kind of buying into that I completely, changed my mind about. And so even with like, I was totally convinced that, all right, I'm going to buy a lot of these utility tokens, like QUANT, VXV, ALBT. Like when you go down the rabbit hole and you get to what is potentially going to be the stuff that actually lasts, those are the ones you come to. And I was like, I'm not going to sell these for years. I'm going to hold these. Like whatever. Right. But then, if we, a couple podcasts ago, like we were talking about exit strategies, and I was like, I'm probably going to take, I was like, yeah, I'll take like 80 or 90% out. And like, these guys were like shocked at how much I was about to take out. And it was really because it's like, when you're winning, you have to realize like none of us are special in the sense that all of these things are going to pump based on speculation. And so even if you think you're a genius for getting into something, it's just because the market made you right by, someone else thinking, oh, this is the next thing that's going to pump. People just want to make money. They're not necessarily looking, even if you did the due diligence, even if you researched, they're not looking 3-4 years down the line. And then the other cases, where I'm at in my life and what age I'm at and how long I'm willing to hold, where someone who's, maybe, 40 and could potentially retire off of all the money they've made this year, they're not going to hold it for the next 3 or 4 years and risk that. Right. So it's always like the battle of, like you said, don't drink your own Kool-Aid and always question yourself and what you're believing, because it's like not everybody is coming to the same conclusions, no matter how much you believe in the technology or whatever. Who's coming into this space right at the end of the bull market and is going to feel the same way? Exactly. Not many people. Yeah, they're not going to have the time. So it's like, for me, if you were my age, 23 or somewhere around there, and you lost a lot of money at the end of this bull run, if you stuck around, you're still going to get out of this and be completely fine if you realize the potential long term. But most people are not going to do that. They'll lose money and they will, exit the market until crypto becomes relevant again. And maybe the next time crypto becomes relevant is when it is mass adoption, but that's something we also just don't know. I don't know if that answers the question.
It answered my question, and I think it kind of goes back to, and I know John and Mike, we were talking about this too off air. 99% of the assets that we're holding, that we are holding because we think it's going to take us to generational wealth, they're not assets designed for us. I'm holding a shit ton of quant. Do I have an enterprise that's going to be doing interoperability with blockchains? No. I'm holding Alliance Block. Am I going to be? No, I'm holding these things because I think corporations, enterprise, and customers and countries are going to find value in them. I'm not holding them because my cousin thinks that they're worth something. Like, so if you put it in perspective, the only time that happens, not artificially, when I mean artificially, like the speculative pump, is from actual use cases. And we are still several years away from actual use.
They're not even built out yet.
No, let's be honest. Quant made like $10 million last November or something, like last year. I'm sorry, in 2020, they made $10 million. That is off. They had like a $220 million market cap when they made that. That is just literally companies. What's that, like two companies getting their feet wet with a little bit of blockchain action? Like, let's be honest. So when widespread adoption happens, what I don't want to see is a lot of people get freezed out. So you just got to make sure your timing's right if you're gonna do what you got to do, because if you get frozen out, there'll always be other assets. There'll be a Web 4.0 one day. It might be in 15 years, but you just want to make sure you don't get frozen out of this opportunity. Take your profits, plan ahead, get your psyche ready. But God, don't let people deprive you of an opportunity for generational wealth. You're going to be baking no matter what, but just don't get frozen out. Don't.
A lot of people are going to get frozen out, man, and it's unfortunate to think about. But I mean, you can kind of see it already as it goes. I mean, you see, like, for instance, there's a crypto called, I think, like MCC or something or another. Right now, all the people that are in that token, they basically lost everything. Facts. You know what I'm saying? And it's unfortunate that we see this stuff every day, but you got to realize, if you're a developer of a certain crypto and you got thousands of people that basically aped in their money and you lost their money, what do? They don't know who you are, so you just tuck tail and run. You know, it's unfortunate, but as it stands right now, this could happen because we're so early. Now, once mass adoption happens, that's not gonna, I don't think that could be a thing, you know, because we're gonna have regulation at that point. You know, the SEC is probably gonna have to have their hands in every single protocol that's being built. They're gonna have to understand it. They're gonna have to pay taxes on it. They're gonna have to, you know what I'm saying? It's gonna be a lot different. So all of these different rugs and things of that nature is probably not gonna be around. But to your point of people getting froze out, I see it happening, man. I think too much people losing money is going to be the catalyst to a lot of people saying, hey, look, I would rather put my money into the stock market where I quote unquote know that it's safe. I'll make the 2% a year as opposed to, you know, coming to this crypto and potentially quote unquote making 10%, 100%, 1,000%. I don't want to take the risk. You know what I'm saying? Especially the baby boomers. I feel like they're the ones that's not really going to get into crypto in the sense of buying and selling crypto. But I mean, like, if you look at Kevin O'Leary, he's trying to be like the baby boomer, quote unquote, to try and get their money in to protocol or
and he totally
like
flipped on his, and he totally flipped, you know, when he was completely against completely against Bitcoin at first.
They all were.
But that was because he has people to answer to. He can't just come out as Kevin O'Leary and say, oh, I like Bitcoin. He can't say that.
Well, also, and the reality is, like, when you're a public facing figure like that, whether you're a huge O'Leary fan or not, you're always afraid of credibility issues, right? Like, you're always afraid of losing credibility in the rooms that he's in with people who are like telling him, hey man, crypto, can you believe people are buying Bitcoin? But if you look, he always says, and I don't know if this is true or not, but when he makes investments, he checks with prospective regulators to see if he's investing in something that they're going to go after or not, which I 100% believe that's what smart money's doing. They're like, hey, is this safe? And in a safe 2 or 3 or 4 times when you have, you know, $500 million, I mean, come on, you know, like, it's a no-brainer. We remember with Mark Cuban, who was getting in, like, he got into that company and said he got all his money out that got hacked, air quoted. But I mean, you know, people save face, man. Like Mark Cuban's not coming out and being like, yo, my wallet got hacked. I lost $1 million worth of ETH.
Because you don't know what you're doing type.
But it's a loss on his books, which is a tax write-off for him. So did he really lose? I mean, let's be honest.
No.
You know what I mean? He didn't really lose.
They're playing with house money. It's different when you're playing with your own money, for sure.
Exactly. But going to the point of Kevin O'Leary trying to get the baby boomers in, that's where I feel like the ETFs are going to play a big part in that. You know, for all of the baby boomers, because hey, they probably want to get into crypto. They want to make those gains, but they don't want to be in crypto.
They don't want to hold the asset. They don't want to download. They're not going to download wallets and do it like what we're doing.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. So that should be interesting. Yeah. Go ahead, Keith. You had something to say?
I was going to say the custody issue is huge, and if the rumors are true, and you have exchanges like Coinbase who are going to drop subscription models where you're insured up to $1 million if you pay a monthly subscription, and they'll hold your, you know, you can put your crypto on their exchange, you're covered and everything. It's game over. It's game over. If you take the boogeyman, which is losing your crypto through illicit means, I'm not talking about sending it to the wrong address. I mean, damn, get it together. But if you take the hacker out of it, forget about it, man. People are like, wait a minute, I'm insured. I'm insured up to the 4 times more than a bank. I'm in.
People have been confidently putting money into their bank without even taking a breath, without even blinking an eye, because their money's
you're insured up to like 250.
You're giving someone else your money. You're literally giving yourself your money every paycheck, every day, without a thought of losing a thought.
But we have, like, the point is, we have the protections even when you're investing in stocks and anything like that. All of these, like Robinhood, for example, like you're protected. If something crazy happened, you are protected, and like that's what needs to be there for. Exactly, the custody issue, and it needs to be there for institutions to feel confident. And like, for example, like QREDO or Credo. I always forget how you say
I
it.
think
Like they're trying to solve a massive problem.
Right.
The custody issue is one that like clearly needs to be solved before we see mass adoption. So mass adoption is not here yet, because then there would be that place where, all right, an institution or some sort of like massive organizations okay with putting, the lion's share of any of their, wealth in something that is blockchain based or crypto related.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I think crypto.com is going to tip their hat into that basket as well, man. An article I read earlier stated that they're trying to get the institutions in now. And you and I both know crypto.com was meant for, well, it was budgeted or targeted to just the everyday investor, kind of like how Robinhood was.
Mm-hmm.
But now they're trying to push more. Now that they got, the Staples Center name changed and things of that nature, now they're trying to kind of beef it up.
They're trying to be the top dog.
Yeah. So,
because look at the reaction in the market from the reaction in the retail market from all the news about institutions, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. So I think, and they're smart for this. There's probably plenty of smart people around realizing this. They don't necessarily need to go after retail. They need to convince retail that this is legitimate. And how do they do that? Get all the big boys involved, right? And it's part of why, people who look deep enough into quant, that's why they're so bullish on quant, is because it's like, you're telling me, the biggest players in this space for the last 20 years, example, Oracle, for what they do, if they're looking at quant, how are you doubting that there's something there now? You're not, right? And that's what makes people, that's what made me so confident in quant.
Yeah.
Is everyone they're working with, not who, not their marketing strategy and yes, but also, their actual operating system is also just, what needs to be like implemented for, again, enterprise, large organizations to enter the market, right?
Yeah.
And that's like, I mean, I was gonna say, like, that's two things. One, like, at some point in time, do you think banks will custody crypto, where you can go to your local bank and you can have,
for sure,
they will take care of your crypto for you can move your money into
for
crypto.
Sure.
That's gonna be a big catalyst for mass adoption as well. Being able to
there's not gonna it just
your local Bank of America or Chase. Like,
just think about like the way. Sorry, go ahead, John. I keep cutting you off after you say after you told me you keep cutting me off. Now I'm cutting you off. Keep going.
No, I always seem like I'm done, but then I'm not,
because more ideas.
I'm good. That was good. There's another thing I'm gonna say, but I'll say that after. It's about.
No, I was just gonna say, like, if you look at, and again, like the way I look at it is I always try and, look at myself and how because when I first got into crypto, I was an app, and that was when I was really into crypto was literally, 9, 10, 12 months ago when I was putting real money into crypto, and I was a noob. So I remember what I used to think. I remember the way I was thinking about how all this stuff worked. Yeah. And so when you think about it, imagine a bank or the guys who are at the top, the head honchos at a hedge fund or a bank. There's no way you're telling me that they're not interested in the market when there's so much money to be made. In the volatility of the market alone with Bitcoin, a 10% move is making billions of dollars for people if they so choose. There just needs to be the lane and the protection for that to happen. And then guess what? Retail is going to get dumped on a lot and more than it's already happening.
That's the name of the game. That's the name of the game.
That's when I say they're going to take it from us. They will
need someone to sell to.
Us. Yep. Say bye-bye. To look what happened with Coinbase. The accredited investors of Coinbase all won.
Yeah.
And I just wonder, the big question is, I wonder the quants of the world, the alliance blocks, the ones that, and VXV as well, those ones, will they also suffer the same kind of, fate of the whole market at one point or another?
Yeah.
Will there be some, there'll be enough, I don't know, saturation in those coins with smart money where those don't suffer the same fate. That's also what we don't know the answer to, right?
Yeah,
you don't.
I don't know the answer to that. I mean, me and John had a conversation off air before we started talking to Keith about layer ones. Like when Ethereum 2.0 comes out, do you think people are gonna flock back to Ethereum?
I was thinking people were like, imagine a world where Ethereum is scalable, proof of stake, everything is. Whoa, gas fees are like $2, $1. Do you think, I was questioning, I was like, do you think people just go back home to Ethereum? People that left Ethereum, you think they're going to come back home? The developers, or do you think they're gone for good? If
I think
Ethereum
that sorry, John.
no, that was it. That was it.
The market cap in theory is going to keep increasing, so there's going to be such a thirst for blockchains, and there's going to be such a thirst for different capabilities. I think ETH is going to be king because people like ETH, but the market's going to get closer and closer, and as the market cap goes exponentially, you get to like a $50 trillion market cap one day, it's all drops in the bucket. We're not even talking about which one has this amount of money and that amount of money. The reality is you're going to have these ecosystems that people just use because they have the hottest thing, and it'll be much easier to go back and forth. So it'll be like, oh, in my area, I use, ETH for this. Like, it's people already talking about how ETH, essentially, if you look at OpenSea, people who spend tons of money on, the really, really high priced NFTs, they don't care about gas fees.
Yeah,
they're never going to stop using ETH like that. It's almost like a museum. It's like a curated, like you want to go get a real piece of art, go on ETH. Like those, if you have to ask what the gas fees are, then the network's not designed for you. Like if you're like, wait, what's this gas fee? Then just you hop on a better blockchain for you and save your capital.
I think it's still so much more efficient, regardless of the gas fees, for someone who's got a lot of money and is trading extremely valuable property, right? If you are doing that digitally and you're looking at a fee that's maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5% of what you're about to either spend or make off of that play, it absolutely does not matter. And that's why, and I think unfortunately Ethereum has to survive for the rest of the market to survive, because Ethereum is what's going to get all of the people who are not convinced that crypto is anything but a currency or this, magic internet money type thing, into understanding that, oh no, it's actually a decentralized virtual computer that can do anything you want it to. And when everybody kind of opens their eyes to that, it'll be with Ethereum, right? And Ethereum will be, and I also, think I would actually love your opinion on this, Keith. Like, I think Ethereum is also just going to be a store of value.
Eventually,
it's going to be for everybody who couldn't get into Bitcoin. It's going to be Ethereum. Is going to be that safe haven asset.
You know what people glazed over, and you saw it in a few sound bites, is when O'Leary referred to ETH as ultrasound money. And the reason why that was huge is because that's like one of those times someone behind the curtain like leaks out what they really think. He didn't say ultrasound utility. He's like ultrasound money. Because in his opinion, you put your money in ETH and it appreciates, baby, because it has that store value. The inflation rate's reasonable. It's utility. Like, people don't realize, like, if you're California, right, and you're building on a blockchain, you don't care about anything but reliability. And if more people are using ETH, then you're going to use what more people use. Like a lot of the shortcomings of ETH, and I agree, there are better blockchains out there.
Keith, did you mute yourself?
I think you cut out.
Oh, maybe he hit the mute button. You did that a couple times, Dante.
Yeah, come on.
He got excited.
I do that a lot.
Dang, that was like a climax. Dang. It was getting really good. I was like,
I know.
Oh.
I thought I had just gone into space.
I waited for a second. I was like, wait, what happened?
Oh, we can hear you now.
Hello?
Keith? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
now we can.
My bad, guys. My microphone died, bro. I had to throw on an Xbox mic. I'm like, damn, I can't sit right down here with my series.
By any means.
Hey, gotta get it in, man.
But I forget, what was I talking about? ETH?
Yeah, ETH, the store of value. California.
Yeah. So the reality is, like, these places are going to get into it because it has an actual supreme use case. Like if you're going to build on something, you're going to build on something that can support. And I get the scalability issues, but people have already decided. Like, at least think about the who wins crypto thing in 5-year increments, right? For the next 5 years, they've already decided ETH is a store of value. For the next 5 years, Bitcoin is gold, baby. And it doesn't matter who flips who or who flips what. The most powerful people in the world are not going to lose to us for not using ETH. Like, there's no world where I'm like, I'm using Phantom and that's going to change anything.
Exactly.
It's already decided. When these states and these countries decide on what blockchains they want to use and things like that, we're not in a room. No one's talking about gas fees. So I couldn't agree with you more. I think ETH, I think KDA long term. I think these things, KDA is making the play to be a store of value, which should tell you everything you need to know about that. That's cool. These things are unbelievable stores of value. If I told you ETH's worth $100,000 for one ETH, in 2030, you wouldn't even bat an eyelash. You'd be like, oh yeah, no, that makes sense. The market cap went up. People
Exactly.
invested in it. Rich people like it.
And they're deflationary now.
Yeah. Well, I know it has times when it's deflationary, but no matter what they tell you about ETH, there's not a ton increasing, and people are using it.
Yeah.
Using it. Everything's
Yeah.
on ETH. You know, every
Everything,
coin, you're like, why is this on ETH? Because people use ETH. That's all you need to know.
Exactly. Whew. Oh my God, man. This is so much alpha, bro. I literally don't want to hit the stop button, but I feel like we should do a part 2. Hopefully,
Yeah,
when
for
you know
sure.
people have
Dude.
more
Questions,
time
yeah.
and
For
understanding.
sure,
No
man.
pun intended. But yeah, guys. Honestly, Keith, thank you for coming on. Dante, as always, thank you guys for coming on.
Of course.
Everyone who just witnessed that, just listened to that, just watched that. If you didn't find any value in that,
You weren't listening.
you
Let
weren't
me know.
listening.
Yeah.
I mean, come on
There's
here.
still so much more we have to cover.
Exactly.
I don't think did we cover Ohm and Time deep dive?
We
No,
didn't
we
deep
didn't
dive
even.
into
Yeah,
none of that.
man, that's
None of that.
DAOs and all that stuff. We were gonna go into that more too, but hey,
I
that'll be
wanted to
part
say,
2.
Yeah, we'll
I
be a
really
part 2.
appreciate you guys having me on, and I really respect what you guys do in the space. Like I said, I try not to invest my time because I value my time into things I don't believe in. And what you guys do, what Dante does, I can tell you guys care about this space. I care about this space immensely, and more importantly, I care about educating people like us in this space. So, listen, you guys are doing it. Keep doing it. Keep positive, and a ton of people support you, man. I really respect you guys moving forward, and obviously, I appreciate being on the show.
Hey,
Thanks,
Thank
man.
you, man.
We
Appreciate you, man.
appreciate that.
We appreciate you
it-
for sure.
It's very humbling as always to hear people. When you get compliments from like people like family members, it's kind of like, okay, all right, man. But for someone you've never met across the states, across the world, whatever, what have you, like it hits a little different, man. It honestly does hit a little different. So thank you much for your kind words, man, and hopefully you can come back onto the show.
yeah.
Definitely, me and John
For
appreciate
sure.
you being a moderator in the channel and the Discord and everything like that. So if you guys really want to meet Civil Stranger and kind
Join
of
the
jazz
Discord.
with him,
You can
join
have
the
a call. You
Discord,
can
man.
literally talk to him directly. He's in there. Answer
Yeah, I'll be in
questions.
there, man. I live in the Discord, man. My kids will be falling asleep on my chest, and I'm in there typing a response with spell errors and everything.
Yeah. Follow y'all on Dante. Get him on YouTube. You guys already know.
Exactly. You guys
Yeah.
know the YouTube stuff. Follow Dante. Follow him on Twitter. Follow him on. Well, hopefully he gets TikTok soon. Subscribe
can't
to
do it.
subscribe
I
to
can't
the
do it.
YouTube channel.
He has an Instagram.
Well, he started.
Yeah.
It
Well,
got
there's
a
no
little bit.
posts, but
But hopefully you guys find some value, like we always say, and we will see you guys tomorrow. Peace out.
Like